You already know more than you think. Every day, people reveal who they truly are, not through words, but through patterns. A false smile, a nervous laugh, a silence that lasts too long. The way someone suddenly changes a subject when things become too real. Most people never notice these signs. But once you do, you can never unsee them. Because beneath every personality is a hidden story. Beneath every mask is fear. And beneath every behavior is pain most people never talk about. Today, you're going to learn 18 psychological truths inspired by the ideas of Friedrich Nietzsche. Truths that will completely change the way you see people and yourself. But this is not about judging others. It's about understanding them. Because the moment you understand what people are hiding, you stop taking everything personally. And that changes everything. Truth number 1. Everyone wears a mask. From childhood, people learn which emotions are acceptable and which emotions get rejected. So they build masks. Some people wear confidence. Some wear humor. Some wear kindness. Some wear anger. But masks are survival tools. The loud person may secretly feel invisible. The quiet person may be terrified of rejection. The person who always smiles may be fighting battles nobody sees. And the strangest part is, most people don't even realize they're wearing a mask anymore. Truth number 2. What people hate in others often reveals what they hate in themselves. Pay attention to repeated criticism. The person obsessed with calling others arrogant may secretly feel inferior. The person constantly judging weakness may be terrified of their own vulnerability. Humans project. We attack traits in others that remind us of part of ourselves we refuse to face. And once you notice this, people become much easier to understand. Truth number 3. Silence reveals more than words. Watch carefully during difficult conversations. Notice when someone pauses too long, when they avoid eye contact, when they suddenly laugh to escape tension, when they answer serious questions with rehearsed responses. Silence speaks. People avoid topics connected to pain. Sometimes what someone refuses to say tells you more than anything they actually say. Truth number 4. Excessive virtue can hide ego. Be careful around people who constantly advertise how good they are. Real kindness rarely needs attention. Some people use morality as a performance, not to help others, but to feel superior. The louder someone announces their goodness, the more carefully you should observe their actions. Truth number 5. People lie to themselves before they lie to you. This is one of the most important truths in human psychology. When someone says, "I'm fine," "I don't care," "I'm over it," sometimes they genuinely believe it, not because it's true, but because the mind creates comforting stories to survive pain. Humans are masters of self-deception, and the contradictions in their behavior often reveal the truth they are trying to hide from themselves. Truth number 6. Superiority often hides insecurity. People who constantly compete, constantly brag, or constantly dominate others are often deeply afraid of being insignificant. Real confidence feels calm. It doesn't need to prove itself every 5 seconds. The person screaming about their greatness is usually trying to convince themselves. Truth number 7. Most human behavior is driven by fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of humiliation, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. People rarely act from logic alone. They act from emotional survival. Some people over-explain because they fear misunderstanding. Some become controlling because chaos terrifies them. Some disappear emotionally because intimacy feels dangerous. Behind almost every strange behavior is fear. Truth number 8. Constant criticism is projection. People reveal themselves through judgment. The person attacking emotional people may secretly hate their own emotions. The person mocking vulnerability may be deeply wounded. Judgment often acts like a mirror. If you want to understand someone, listen carefully to what they repeatedly attack. Truth number 9. False confidence hides guilt. Some people perform certainty because they are terrified of being exposed. They always need control, always need authority, always need to appear strong. But beneath that performance, there is often shame, fear, or unresolved regret. The strongest people rarely need to announce their strength. Truth number 10. Exaggeration reveals insecurity. When someone constantly says, "I don't care what people think," They usually care deeply. When someone says, "I'm always happy," they usually aren't. Extreme statements often hide emotional imbalance. The louder the claim, the more likely it's compensating for hidden doubt. Truth number 11. The need for control hides inner chaos. Some people cannot relax, cannot trust others, cannot tolerate uncertainty. They micromanage everything, but control is often fear disguised as strength. When the inner world feels unstable, people desperately try to control the outer world. Truth number 12. The louder the performance, the emptier the core. Modern life rewards performance. Perfect photos, perfect lifestyles, perfect personalities. But constant performance often comes from emotional emptiness. Some people are terrified that without attention, they will disappear. So they create noise, drama, validation, not because they feel powerful, but because they feel unseen. Truth number 13. People speak from pain, not logic. Most beliefs are emotional before they become intellectual. Someone hurt by betrayal may stop believing in love. Someone humiliated in childhood may become obsessed with status. People build worldviews around wounds. Then they use logic to defend those wounds. When you realize this, arguments begin to look very different. Truth number 14. How someone treats weakness reveals their character. Watch how people treat those with less power. How they treat waiters, children, animals, people who cannot defend themselves. Anyone can act kind toward powerful people. True character appears when compassion is optional. Truth number 15. The fear of being forgotten creates attention-seeking behavior. Some people constantly need validation, constant posting, constant drama, constant need to be noticed. But underneath that behavior is often a terrified inner child asking one question: do I matter? Attention is not always vanity. Sometimes it's loneliness screaming for recognition. Truth number 16. People attack what they secretly envy. Envy is painful because it forces people to confront abandoned dreams. The person mocking confidence may wish they had confidence. The person attacking freedom may secretly crave freedom. Sometimes criticism is admiration mixed with self-hatred. Truth number 17. Adults repeat childhood survival patterns. Many adult behaviors are childhood coping mechanisms in disguise. The child who was ignored becomes desperate for attention. The child punished for emotions becomes emotionally cold. The child forced to earn love becomes addicted to approval. People don't just live in the present. They replay unfinished emotional stories from the past. Truth number 18. Patterns are confessions. People reveal themselves repeatedly. The person who always runs away from intimacy. The person who sabotages happiness. The person who never slows down. The person who constantly seeks validation. These are not random habits. They are emotional confessions. Behavior always tells a story. And once you learn to read patterns instead of words, you begin to see people clearly. But here's the most important part. This knowledge is not meant to make you arrogant. It's meant to make you compassionate. Because once you understand human behavior deeply, you realize most people are not evil. Most are simply wounded. Some hide pain behind anger. Some hide fear behind confidence. Some hide loneliness behind performance. Everyone is fighting battles invisible to the world. And maybe so are you. Because every truth in this video was never only about other people. It was also about you. Your fears, your masks, your patterns, your wounds. The more honestly you observe others, the more honestly you begin to observe yourself. And that is where real transformation begins. Not in pretending to be perfect, but in finally seeing yourself clearly. So the next time someone hurts you, pause before reacting. Ask yourself, what fear might be hiding underneath their behavior? What pain are they protecting? Because understanding people does not make you weak. It makes you aware. And awareness changes everything. If this video spoke to you, if you recognize yourself or someone you know in these truths, remember this. The goal is not to become cynical. The goal is to become conscious, to see through the masks, without losing compassion, to understand pain, without becoming consumed by it, and to finally recognize that every human being is simply trying to survive in a world that taught them to hide who they truly are. And maybe the moment you stop hiding from yourself, is the moment your real life finally begins.